You tune into the Sportscast with Brian, Craig, and Jeff. Give you all the sports news you need. We give you outspoken thoughts about all the headlines. We talk baseball, football, hockey, and more. No matter the topic, we cover it. Get ready for the show and keep it outspoken. Keep it outspoken. We keep it outspoken only on the Sportscast. Tune into the Sportscast with Brian, Craig, and Jeff. Give you all the sports news you need.
All right, guys, welcome in episode number 54 of Watson's Playbook here. My good buddy Jeff is on the line with me this week. We had to go a little bit later on in the week. We've been super busy. I've had a super busy week this week. Jeff, how have you been, buddy?
Been pretty good, working and just trying to chill out. Just kind of a chill out weekend kind of thing. So it's been we've kind of been a little warm lately here. So I think we're in like a high pressure, under a high pressure kind of weather watch or whatever. So it's a little warm, but I think by the end of next week, it should go back to normal. So a little warm, but not little more than we're used to. But, it is what it is.
Yeah, here in Texas, it rained for literally 3 weeks in a row. It was crap. I hated it. And then now today, heat index is 100 degrees. So we're back into feeling normal for this time of year. And I can't say much. I like the warmer weather. Now 100 degrees is a little too much, but it is what it is. We're used to that here in Texas. So plus all that rain helped my Bermuda grass grow. So, All right, Jeff. Well, we'll talk a little bit more about this stuff later on, of course, when we get into what's in our locker. Now, the spotlight of the week this week is going to be the NBA playoffs. As we move on to the next round, we're already a couple games in each series. And, man, I tell you what, the Suns are on fire right now. The Suns are up 3-0 on the Denver and the MVP, the Joker. The Suns team, I didn't give them much credit. They finished last year in the bubble. They won. They were undefeated in the bubble last year. They won 8 straight games. They did not make the playoffs. They've continued that this year. The addition of Chris Paul has been good for them. When they played against the Lakers, I thought if the Lakers were healthy, that the Lakers would have moved on. And Chris Paul wasn't playing as he wasn't. He wasn't fully healthy is what I'm looking for there. He had a shoulder injury. He's playing really good for them right now. The leadership. Kevin Booker's been a beast. It's Devin Booker, my bad, has been a beast for them. They have a young team. They have the coach of the year in Monty Williams. He was voted coach of the year this year for having this team playing so good in the second seed. We were trying to figure out if they're contenders. And right now, they're looking like they are, man. They're playing really good team basketball. They got pieces together where they're not just relying on one or two guys. They've got guys coming in. They've got young rookies, and they've got young talent to come in and step in. And they're looking really, really good, up 3-0 against Denver. And I think that game is tomorrow night, and we'll see if they can pull off a sweep.
A lot of the fans here not too happy. I think, like I said last episode, I haven't paid attention to the Nuggets in a long time. I know they have a very talented roster, but man, the Suns are good. They're really good. So I think this series is pretty much a wrap.
Oh yeah.
There's always the odd thing that can happen, with these kind of things. And I've seen it from my team before. So, I mean, you get the occasional whatevers where it's like, okay, a team lost 4 straight or something like that. But I mean, with the Suns being as good as they are, I don't see that happening. There is a possibility that maybe Denver will win a game to kind of linger around, but because they are a good team, they're a good team too, so they can at any moment could possibly win a game or so. But I don't see it. I don't see it going past 5 games. I can see the Suns easily sweeping, obviously, but I don't see it going past 5 games.
It would take a lot to get it to 6, and I think the Denver Nuggets are a team too that I don't really take serious in the playoffs. Even back in the day when they had Carmelo Anthony and they got Allen Iverson, and the team that, even though they're you see, you look at the team, you go, man, this team has some talent. They don't put it together at the end, and maybe that's them running into Kobe Bryant and the Lakers, or something like that. But I'm just not sold on the Denver Nuggets yet. I think they still need another piece. The Joker's a beast. He's coming out there and playing lights out every game. They got Murray, who's so inconsistent. Last year or the year before in the playoffs, he came out and scored 40 points one game, and he has that ability, but you don't see it on an every night basis. So I think they need him to be more consistent and add a couple more pieces. But they're always in the playoffs. They're always right there. This year they had a good season, but it looks like they're going to fall short again in the playoffs.
Yeah, to give anybody give somebody food for thought here. In terms of how well the Suns are playing, their team leaders go along these lines here, which is stat wise is incredible. So like Devin Booker, for example, he's averaging 27.2 points a game in the postseason. DeAndre, is it Aden?
It's Aden.
11 rebounds. Chris Paul would be on the assist side at 8.9 a game, and then averaging, and then steals would be Bridges, Mikal Bridges, small forward. And he's averaging 1.6 steal a game. And then Crowder is averaging about a little under a block a game. But I'm like, the thing that pops out to me the most is Devin Booker, DeAndre at Aden, and then Chris Paul. And that's just nuts. That's nuts. These guys are beasts, man. It's crazy.
They're playing good team basketball right now, and when you play good team basketball and you have guys coming off the bench that can put points on the board and do what they do, it's really good. And Monty Williams has them playing on fire at the right moment. So
yeah, even like points average compared, if you kind of go down at least the top, I would say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 top 5 guys, you're looking at 10.9 points average a game, 11.8, 12 points a game, 13.3 points a game, 15.6 points a game, and then obviously you got Devin Booker at 27. Guys are scoring, and guys are playing defense, and guys are rebounding. This is a really good team playing kind of on all cylinders. Maybe on the steal side they could be a little bit better, but that's still good. Rebounds is rebound. So, that's still defense. In a way.
All right. Yeah. All right. In the next series, the Clippers are down 2-0 against the Jazz. And the Clippers are playing a tough game in playing from behind and trying to catch up. And they were able to do it after blowing, the 2-point lead or two-game lead to the Mavericks. They were able to do so and move on. But it's going to be hard to do, going down 2-0 in each series. That's hard to bounce back from. The Jazz are the number 1 team in the league, or in the Western Conference this year. Mitchell's been a beast. He scored 45 points the first night. He scored 37 in game 2. Mitchell is the driving force for the Utah Jazz, but their roster's set up really well, and they have guys who can come in off the bench and score a lot of points. And it's not just one or two guys. They have a good bench. They got other guys that step up. If you go look at the scoring, that one night this guy steps up, the next night it's this guy steps up, and they've got a good team that way. They got the defensive player of the year in Gobert. He's been playing really good. He hasn't been scoring a whole lot of points. I think the first game he scored 10, and the second game he scored 13. I would like to see him get more than that, but they're getting the job done and winning. That game is actually happening right now. They're playing back in LA. The Clippers are up 106-92 in the fourth quarter. So they've led this game and they're leading right now. So it looks like the Clippers are going to probably pull back to 2-1. But I don't think you can play with fire and not get burned. Continue to go down 2-0 in these series. It's hard to come back, especially playing the number one team in the West and the capability of Gobert playing defense and the guys that can score. Donovan Mitchell, he's probably going to score 30 points in the game each game. 45 in game one to close it out. They won by 3 points that game too. So they're looking real good right now. And the Clippers are a tough team. They took down the Mavericks. We kind of, discussed about how we had to pull, we put our foot in our mouth and I was wrong. I thought the Mavericks were going to finish it off, but so Clippers come back and, they're down 2-0. So they're looking to fight back into this series.
Yeah, well, as we continue the podcast, we'll keep a post on that. It'll be ending here in the next 8 minutes or so. So I have the score kind of saved in this tab here, and we'll keep an eye on it. It's the Utah. It's still a lot of time left, even in basketball. I mean, they're down by 14. So. It could, who knows how basketball's weird. 8 minutes is a lot for basketball.
You can go on a 10-point run. Yeah. Next thing you know, it's 4. Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see what happens. It looks like Clippers are going to maybe pull away and win this game. But I can tell you right now, if they continue doing this, they're going to be knocked out for sure. So, but yeah, it's the Jazz look pretty good, man. If they continue on this track and continue onward, you got to have Casey on here, dude. For sure. Yeah. Talk about it. I mean, get a more of a fan perspective of that team, on here, especially if they get past the Clippers. That would be huge.
That'd be huge. And, you talk about Donovan Mitchell. He has 30 points tonight. Ingles is another guy that scores quite a bit on the team. He's got 19. And I think Gobert needs to score more. He's got 12 points tonight. 12 points isn't bad, but it's not fantastic or anything. And when you look at the Clippers tonight, Leonard has 24, but Paul George playing like a playoff P again. He's got 30 points for him. So
he seems, to me, in my opinion, Paul George seems hit or miss.
Oh yeah, he definitely is.
He's either on,
especially in the playoffs.
Yeah, he's either on or he's not. And if he's not, then it's gonna be a tough game to win. But if he is on, then the Clippers are close to unstoppable.
Right.
So,
all right, Jeff. The next series here is the one that by far, maybe probably the worst one. It's the Nets. The Nets are facing the Bucks. They're up 2-1 against the Bucks. The Bucks won the last game, but it didn't show me any confidence in it because it was like 86-83. No one scored. It took the Nets to have such a bad offensive shooting night for the Bucks to win. I don't think that happens again. I don't, and when you go back and look at the box score, the Bucks only have 2 guys that are scoring points at this, and Middleton and obviously Giannis, and everybody else not scoring any points. They barely edged out by 3 points the other night, and the Nets are probably going to win it all. That's probably maybe my best bet. So I do have them winning this series. I thought the Bucks would put up a bigger fight, and they probably still can. I watched the first 2 games, and it was ugly. And it took such a bad shooting night for the Nets to lose a game that I don't think that happens again. But I got the Nets winning the series. This series is ugly.
Speaking of fight, the Bucks also put up a fight physically, literally.
Literally.
Put up a fight, and Kevin Durant's bodyguard had to come out there and save him.
He put hands, and they actually said he cannot. He's no longer allowed.
Yeah, I heard
in
about
the
that.
stadium.
I heard about
in Milwaukee.
that. Yeah, I heard about that. That was crazy. I saw the stuff and the video, a little clip of it, and I was cracking up. Pretty hilarious.
I can't stand Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. I think maybe you all know how I feel, but I don't like super teams, right? I hate it, and I think it's bad for basketball. And there is definitely the only super team in the league right now, having 3 superstars.
Yeah.
So it just makes it unfair, man.
Yeah.
It just makes it unfair.
Unfortunately, I mean, we talked about it. The Nets seem like obviously the team to beat in the East, and that's just the way it is, man. That's the way it is. Would we love to see the Bucks completely come back and just take them out, man? I would love to see that. That would be absolutely amazing to just completely deny Kevin Durant of another ring. Absolutely.
Yeah. You know what would be funny? I got a buddy of mine, Casey, who's been on here before. He's a Jazz fan. And my buddy Manuel Delgado, he's a Suns fan. So we were talking a lot of trash when the Lakers played the Suns, and knowing their luck, they would go to this championship this year and they'd run into the Nets, and the Nets would just, so
we'll see.
But we'll see.
We'll
see.
Yeah. I mean, the Suns look pretty good. I think if there's any team that can really compete with them, the Suns look pretty good. I want to say the Clippers, but man, they're streaky, man. They're so weird. That's a weird team.
Yeah. Oh, they definitely are. I'm not sure about them. I don't know team chemistry, if it's all there.
It's hard to trust that team. Like, if I was a fan of the Clippers, I would be completely worried constantly. I'd be like, oh, gosh, what are we going to do? We could completely crap the bed, or we can completely blow someone out. I mean, it's just weird.
If you go back and look at the games that they've lost, it's usually when Kawhi scores 20 and George puts up 20. And it's like, okay, is 20 points bad? Not necessarily. But 20 points is bad when you're the star and you're getting paid to put up 30, 40 points. You need that one guy to take over the game and have the other guy still put up numbers, but back and forth there. When you go look at their losses, it's they come out and they put up an okay game, 23 points, and the other one has 19. That's not good enough to get it done. So they are a very, very streaky team. And like I said, if they move on to the next series and they go down 0-2 to the Suns or even the Jazz, I don't think they recover from that.
Yeah, yeah, and we were, it's just kind of crazy, but yeah, in terms of like so far, with the series that we were talking about a second ago with the Nets, it's just, guys, it sucks, but it is what it is. I mean, the Nets are the team so far, especially since the Lakers were taken out. They're the odds-on favorite outside of the Clippers. I would say would be like the next odds-on favorite to win the championship. So, as we're up in Brooklyn, we travel a little bit south to Philly. We see what's going on in Philly. What's going on in Philly, Brian?
All right. Well, Trae Young, he snuck out game 1, and I think he put a little bit of a surprise. I think he caught the 76ers sleeping, and they won game 1. But the 76ers won 2 in a row, and they really are the better team than the Hawks. The Hawks are a very young team. Trae Young can really show flashes of being a star. He looks really good. And this team is close to being contenders. I think they need a couple more pieces, a couple more years of experience. And in a couple years, I think they could be contenders there in the East and make that Eastern Conference a little bit stronger is what I think the NBA would like as well. But the 76ers have been playing team basketball. Embiid's been great. During most of the season, he's been up for MVP voting. Simmons put up 18 points the other night. He doesn't score a whole lot of points. He's a really good defensive player. He put up 18. He's been scoring and getting good. They've also been getting scoring from Harris and Seth Curry And that's what they need. And when you have a star and another good player and you have other guys contributing consistently, what's team basketball makes you win. The chemistry, the team basketball. I was really surprised when the Dallas Mavericks they traded Seth Curry away because he's a guy that can light it up for 3 points, and he can score. He could quietly look over and go, "Oh man, he has 28 points tonight. Wow, that's huge." So he can put up points for you. He's really good at shooting the three. Tobias Harris, who got the big contract, he kind of struggled last season. He got paid huge. He struggled last year. He's been putting up good numbers for them. Ben Simmons plays really good defense. And then, of course, Joel Embiid. They've got a good head coach in Doc Rivers. I would like to see this team go on and face the Nets, is what I think will happen. They should take over the series and win in 5 or 6 games possible. I think they match up well with the Nets. I don't think they beat them, but I think they can give them a heck of a run for their money.
Yeah, I really like the 76ers. I like Doc Rivers. Doc Rivers is an awesome coach. I think he got the short end of the stick in LA personally. Totally. I don't know if that was Kawhi Leonard's decision or not. It probably was. Bad idea. Personally, you went from being a pretty decently coached team to the Clippers. Honestly, they sometimes look completely lost. I think their coach is all right, but Doc Rivers is a way better coach. Personally, he definitely has a better track record. So in terms of 76ers, if I had to have a favorite in the East, this definitely would be my favorite.
Yes. Yeah. If I had a team that I think that I would want to win or come into it from the East would be the 76ers. Right. They're a team they got talent. I would like to see Joel Embiid win one. We've seen him kind of progress. He came in the league. He's been good. The questions were, is he good enough? Can we see him jump to that next level and really be motivated to take that next step? And I think, that's something that you see in like Kobe Bryant or LeBron James. When they take over, they have that mentality of winning is everything. And sometimes the players come in a little, they're not there yet in their maturity. And I think this year, Joel Embiid really took charge. He's really getting to that point where we saw him take that next step. You never heard of Joel Embiid trying, in MVP at the end of the year. He was neck and neck with the Joker. I want to see him grow. He's a really good basketball player. I like him and Simmons together. They were talking about getting rid of Simmons because Simmons is not that much of a scorer, but he's working on his shot. He's becoming better, and he's really good on defense. So I like to see this team grow. I think getting Seth Curry was great for them over the offseason. Guy that can post out in that 3-point line and knock them down and put a lot of points up for them. So I like this team, and I would love to see them go and knock off the Nets. We might, and it might happen. But only time will tell. Only time will tell. If you had to choose a team out of the West right now, what team are you kind of not bandwagoning on, but jumping on that wagon and kind of going, I would like to see this team? What team is it for you that you would like to see end up in the championship? Because right now, you got some different teams, right? This isn't the Lakers and the Spurs. Yeah. So
I'd like to see the Clippers win at Staples Center. No, I'm kidding.
I just vomited in my mouth.
I snorted. That was funny. I just said that. I just said that just to get to under Brian's skin. No, I honestly, I'd say Phoenix, man. Honestly, it's different enough. They're different enough to be exciting. I think the young talent that they have, their young talented scorer, and I'm trying to think of his name. I just said his name earlier.
Devin Booker.
And is going to be, I think he would be exciting to watch. And not a lot of eyes have, I don't think, been on him in terms of nationally.
Oh yeah, and
he's not a household
because,
name, and I think that would be exciting. I don't remember the Suns have won a championship before, right, in their history, or have they not?
That's a good question.
That is a good.
I know. Charles Barkley, who played for him and never won.
Yeah, which sucks. He was a good player, awesome player.
When I got into basketball, and Kobe Bryant, Lakers fan, we always ended the Suns in the playoffs. It'd be hard fought battles, and we would always end them. So I kind of feel bad for him, Jeff. I kind of want to see him go.
So no, they have
not.
They have no championships.
Ooh.
So this is exciting. This is interesting.
I would like to see him go. I think that's the team too that I would look at and go, hey, I'm rooting for this team. Yeah, they did eliminate my team, but they did it and they played team basketball. They beat us. We were injured. I can throw all those excuses out the window. They are a good basketball team. You got Devin Booker on that team.
Yeah.
Ayton is a rookie that they drafted 2 years ago, so he's finally stepping into his own. I don't know if you've seen him, but he looks like a 45-year-old man, and he's relatively young. I told my buddy, I was like, why does he look so old? He's like, it's his hair, man.
It's reverse Benjamin Button.
Right.
But yeah, like it's this organization has been around since 68. And if you think about it, no championships. They've had 2 conference titles, one in 76, one in 93. And then in terms of division titles, they've had 7. So they've had 7 division titles from 81 to 2021. I mean, not a lot of success in the franchise compared to, obviously you have like, some storied franchises like the Lakers and like, Boston, things like that. But no, like this organization is thirsty for something.
And then they kind of remind me of the Utah Jazz, right? The Jazz were a really good team, but they always ran into Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan always took them out. And that's what I said, that the Suns would always run into Kobe and Shaq, and they would run up against the Lakers. And I would remember those battles. They were one of the best. When we played the Suns, I knew it was going to be a battle. That's the way it was. And Lakers would usually come out on top. But I would jump on their bandwagon and say, hey, look, I want this team to go. I think they deserve it. Monty Williams coming in. He's been the coach since 2019. He's got them playing well. They put a good team together. They're playing really well. And when Chris Paul went there, I'm like, Chris Paul's done, guys. He's getting paid $40 million. He's usually hurt. He can't continue going on. But I was wrong. He's putting up points. He is leading this team, and that veteran leadership goes huge when it comes to winning playoff games and experience. And so I really like this. Really want to see the Suns going forward. I think if they were to play against Utah, I think they could do it. I don't know with the Clippers because they're always such a like you said, it's just inconsistent.
Oh, yeah.
So, but I think the Western Conference is shaping up to look pretty fun. The Eastern Conference, we kind of really already know what's going to happen. Miracles can happen over there. We'll see if Philly can step in and take out the Nets. But right now, the Western Conference, I could see these 3 teams going. The Denver Nuggets are done. They're not coming back. So I can see the other 3 teams, any of those teams, really going to the championship. And if the Suns are able to sweep tomorrow night the Nuggets, they're going to have a lot of rest, and that's going to give Chris Paul a lot of rest to become fully 100% healthy. And rest, it depends on how you look at it. Some people are like, man, I hate the rest. I'd rather play back-to-back because you can get cold. But when it comes to healthy and people that are injured, that's what's needed, especially in playoff basketball. So the Western Conference seems to be a fun watch right now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think this, if I had to pick, I'd pick the Suns. I think a lot of people would maybe pick the Suns, not to say that there's not any fans of these other teams or anything like that, but I think in terms of popularity or like that underdog, which people typically like to root for, the Suns seem like the the team that somebody would want to root for, just because this organization needs to have some kind of success. They just haven't had enough of it, and this would be a huge boost for that organization, for the team itself, for a lot of those young players, and it would start a new chapter in the NBA. So
right. And update on the Clippers game. It's basically over. There's a minute and 37 seconds left. Clippers are up by 25 points now, 125 to 100. Last time we updated you, Kawhi Leonard only had 21 points. He's got 34 now. He's actually outscored Paul George to take that lead. So it looks like he kind of took over to shut the game down. They will go to 2-1 tonight in this series. So there's that update. Do you got anything else to add to the NBA playoffs, Jeff, before we move on?
I don't. Not a lot. I mean, just it's getting down to the wire, guys. It's starting to kind of get a little crowded, and teams are starting to fall off. So games are we're getting close. We're getting close to figuring out who's going to be in the end of this thing. So it's exciting. It's interesting. There's a lot of new teams, a lot of different shakeups going on. Players that nobody's really heard of before, people that nobody's seen on a national stage before, and I would love to see something like a guy that no one heard of or no one was thinking of or talking about in the finals and taking out Kevin Durant and the big old
that'd be great,
and the big bunch there in
and the
Brooklyn.
Cancer. And the cancer. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and move into the headlines of the week. And we're started off with the first one you've heard for a while. Julio Jones, Jeff, traded to the Tennessee Titans for a second round and a fourth round pick. The Falcons send Julio Jones and a sixth round pick to the Tennessee Titans. And the question that I asked for you, Jeff, what does this do for the Tennessee's offense?
Well, it's huge. Tennessee's been kind of this team for a while that's had a great defense, but no offense. They've been, dabbling around quarterback situation. Then they went and got their guy in Tua. Was a couple of years ago, or was it last year?
No, not Tua. Not Tua. That's Miami.
Oh, Miami. Sorry.
Tennessee got Tannehill. Tannehill from Miami.
That's it.
Yeah.
So there's the offense has been. I guess this is what they've needed. They've needed to do some kind of. I don't know why I got those mixed up.
At least it's the right team. Yeah. They both, came from Miami, went to Miami, all that good stuff. But.
Yeah, that is true. Tannehill was from Miami. Now that I think about it, because I remember watching him on what's that HBO show, Hard Knocks? Yeah, they were on Hard Knocks. But the Titans are kind of this team where they haven't had. I don't think there's been a lot of help offensively. I think they've had great defensive-minded team for a while. I know they played Denver last year, and their defense was really good. So I mean, yeah, like this is a huge boost for the offense. Is this like, man, they're now Super Bowl team? No. Does this help? Does this give more weapons on offense? Sure. And again, if anything, maybe this causes teams to focus on Julio Jones and allow other players to shine that maybe didn't have the ability to because there wasn't a magnet to go to, as there typically is on terms of an offense. There's always a guy to target, the double team or whatever. So I don't think this changes them drastically, but I think this is a good move. That's a lot of picks though for him. That's the only thing that's a little weird to me. But do you think that Julio Jones's time is coming to an end, or do you think that this could rejuvenate his game?
I think he's coming to an end, and And I say that because he's always injured. He's the last couple of years of the Falcons, he's been hurt. And for Julio Jones to when he was in his peak of his prime, he didn't catch a lot of touchdown passes. And it's one of those, how does this guy not catch touchdown passes? He's very tall. He's very fast. He's really good wide receiver. It all depends on how much you believe he has left in the tank. The Falcons, when they were looking at trading him, they wanted a first-round pick. And they said, no one's sending you a first-round pick for a old wide receiver that's especially injury-prone. They sent a second and a fourth, and then the Falcons sent Julio. The Falcons ended up sending a sixth-round pick and Julio Jones. So I think this is pretty big for their offense, is if Julio can stay healthy and if he can produce. But it does give that threat. He is definitely a threat that the defense has to worry about. Now, they have A.J. Brown as a wide receiver on the other side. That duo right there will be pretty good as long as they're both healthy. They run the ball a lot, right? They're that team that's kind of old school way of thinking. We're going to play good defense. We're going to control the clock by using Derrick Henry. But this is going to open up Tannehill for the play action pass a little bit more, I believe. A.J. Brown on the other side is a really good wide receiver as well. He's young. He's healthy. Can Julio Jones stay healthy is a question. If he can, I believe he is a good threat. Tennessee is that team, Jeff, that always makes the playoffs, but that's kind of where it ends. I don't think adding Julio Jones puts him as a front runner. Are they contenders? Yes. Are they front runners to take out the Kansas City Chiefs? No. But they got a little step closer. We'll see. I like Mike Vrabel. I don't like their style of offense, though, but I do like this team. Tannehill has kind of turned his career around going there, and their defense has been particularly pretty good. So, but I don't think this makes them Super Bowl bound by any means.
No, I agree with that as well. I think most people would agree with that. I mean, there is one team to really take out in the AFC, and everybody knows who they are. So, I mean, when it comes to this particular situation, I like the Titans gave up 2 second and a fourth round pick. That's a lot, but again, they have been in the playoffs lately, and I mean, relatively, that's kind of a low pick, unless all of a sudden they collapse this next season, which would be crazy. Because then the Falcons would be like picking number 2. So it's our second round, but high second round pick. But yeah, like it seems like the Falcons only gave up a 6th round along with him. I think that's a good trade for the Falcons personally.
Yeah, and they had to clear. They're in a bunch of cap issues. I heard that they couldn't even sign the players that they drafted this year, so that opens up a lot of money.
What a mess!
Yeah, what a mess. And teams get that way, but not only did you give it 2 draft picks, you're paying the rest of his contract, Julio Jones' contract, and I think he's getting paid $21 million a year or something like that. It's around $20-something million a year. And I hear all these Green Bay fans go out and get him, go out. I'm like, we cannot afford it, you morons. We can afford him if you want to get rid of Devontae Adams, and let's go ahead and cut Jair Alexander and let's
blow
go ahead
up the team.
Yeah, I'm not doing that for a 31-year-old. I think he's 31, 32-year-old injury-prone wide receiver that doesn't get in the end zone. Sorry, it's not going to happen. So,
I mean, yeah, it's another fascinating thing behind this is how much Tannehill has actually thrived in Tennessee compared to in Miami. Miami was, I don't know what it was. Maybe it was the system, the scheme. I don't know what it was, but he didn't look as good in Miami as he does in Tennessee.
That's true.
Maybe it's growing pains. Maybe he's gotten more mature. But yeah, I mean, in terms of, I would say, I know like they have like the most valuable player, but maybe in terms of like the most improved or the most like turn around as a player, I would say Tannehill is probably under that tag. He's done pretty well.
He's done better than I thought he would,
Yeah.
leaving Miami.
Yeah.
And when they leave a team, though, when you leave it like a place like Miami, when we used to be extremely bad, this one of those quarterbacks you go, okay, well, he might still have something because he came from a team that didn't put much around him, and they continue to fail at draft picks and all that stuff. But
well, let's go up to good old Green Bay. Let's go up to the Lambeau Field and see what's going on, Brian.
Well, a lot of drama, Jeff. OTAs have started. Aaron Rodgers is still a no-show, so we know that is there. Jordan Love has to step in, take first-team reps. Not only did Aaron Rodgers not show up, Jeff, the whole starting wide receiver group didn't show up. And I don't know if that is to kind of stick it to the organization. Is that a show of solidarity for Aaron Rodgers? I don't know. Now that they didn't show up to the non-mandatory ones. They showed up to the mandatory ones. Aaron Rodgers still has not showed up. You hear mixed reactions from coming out of camp about how Jordan Love's doing. The first day of camp, they talked that he was really bad. I'm going, it's practice. It is what it is. I don't usually take any of these things. I take them all with a grain of salt. I'm like, let me see it on the field. The next day, they're lighting it up like he went out there and killed it, and I keep hearing good things from them. He said he's ready to go and take over the spot if Aaron Rodgers isn't there. You hear a lot of talk, a lot of chatter. Jones, the wide receiver that used to be on the Green Bay's team, he's kind of said, I talked to Aaron Rodgers. He says it's not about the money, right? Green Bay offered him the most amount of money. He turned it down. It's not about firing the GM. It's about other things, and he believes it is fixable. He believes Aaron Rodgers will be back before the start of the season. I'm going to just wait and see. I'm at that point now, Jeff, with this whole situation, as if Aaron Rodgers shows up, awesome, great. We have a chance to win a Super Bowl. If he doesn't, I am ready to float on into the Love era. I'm ready to see what this kid has, and I'm going to take this year with a whole bunch of salt.
So you're gonna be on the Love Boat. We can't call it.
Yes.
We can't call it the train. We got to call it the Love Boat because the Love Boat. Yeah, there you go. No, it's like it. I'll tell you this much. Here's what's interesting. Can you imagine if all Aaron Rodgers wants is to say so what the team does in terms of off-season transactions, in terms of transactions or draft picks, especially when it regards to the offense. I think defense, he could care less. It doesn't affect him. So with all that being said, if the Green Bay Packers say yes, and then the Green Bay Packers or let's just say Aaron Rodgers says, now that we've agreed to this, we can restructure my contract and make it to where it's less so that y'all can actually go out and spend money.
That'd be fantastic.
I mean,
that'd be fantastic.
I mean, what more could you ask for at that point? If it's not about money, right? If it's not about money, like what he says it's not, says it's not about money. He's got plenty of that. Well, then whenever the Green Bay Packers come to him and say, what do you need? Give us a list. We will do what you need to do. And then by the time we're done, let's restructure your contract so that we can go do those things you want us to go do.
Right. No, I mean, that'd be great. And I would totally sign up for it. Now, you know, I believe that those type of players like Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, that are elite players have the respect should be there to have that guy at the seat at the table. He wants a seat at the table. I want to have some input on who we're letting go. I think one of the biggest things is them letting go of Jordy Nelson, letting go of Clay Matthews, letting go the next day after he praises a wide receiver in camp, they let him go. And he's like, come on, guys. Like, he came out and said we have to keep Cook, the tight end. He's been really good for us. And what do? We let him go. So I understand the frustration, and I can understand how Aaron Rodgers deserves a seat at the table. But when it came out that he wanted GM fired and this stuff, I don't believe that. I don't believe that a player should have that type of power at all of who the coach is or who the GM is, because the GM has to try and win now, and he has to try and win for the future. He has a complicated job. I hope that Aaron Rodgers is back. Look, if you're a Green Bay Packer fan, you can be mad at all the stuff he's done. You can be mad at all the stuff he said. It is what it is. But if you're a Green Bay Packer fan that doesn't think our best chances to win with Aaron Rodgers, you're kidding yourself and you're a fool. Plain and simple. Our best chance of winning is Aaron Rodgers. Now, I am a little concerned if Jordan Love comes out and has a really good OTAs, and let's just say Aaron Rodgers isn't there for preseason, Jeff, and he's got to play we see Jordan Love play really good. Green Bay could step forward and say, okay, we are done with Aaron Rodgers. Brett Favre wanted to come back, right? They said, no, it's not happening. We are ready to move forward with this kid named Aaron Rodgers. Eventually, time will come. Well, they'll be ready to move on from Jordan Love. I thought that year would be this year, but that's before the MVP of the season was named Aaron Rodgers. So it's a complicated story. I do think Aaron Rodgers, after all said and done, I do think he'll be back with the team. I said a couple weeks ago I thought he's going to retire, but after what's being said now, and it seems like it's kind of calming down from Aaron Rodgers' side of it, I think he is back. But I will tell you this, Jeff. We don't have an owner, right? It's the only NFL fan base that's owned by, or NFL team that's owned by the fans. I think that's an issue in Green Bay. I think we should have an owner because I don't think a relationship would be this bad between the quarterback and the organization if we had one. We have a guy named Mark Murphy. He's our CEO, basically. He's kind of the owner. He's kind of the face of our front office other than the GM, but he's above the GM, right? I don't like him. I haven't ever liked him in Green Bay. I didn't like him for years, but there's not much I can do about it. He's going to be there until he feels like leaving, right? He's not going to be fired. It's kind of like having Jerry Jones as owner. You may not like it, but he's not going anywhere, so you might as well suck it up. I don't like him. I think he's soft. I just don't like the guy. I think he's made some bad decisions. He came out the other day and he said yesterday that Aaron Rodgers is a complicated fellow. Dude, shut your mouth. Why are you putting negativity out there so you can piss Aaron Rodgers off even more? And I think Mark Murphy is a guy that Aaron Rodgers has a lot of issues with because he makes a lot of the final decisions. So he needs to shut his old mouth, let Aaron Rodgers get back to camp, and that's our best chance of winning. And that's just, it is how it is. But
there's a few things that I feel, well, first of all, the Lombardi family needs to own the franchise. Never mind. That would be interesting, actually. That would be kind of cool. But yeah, like, I think when they're talking about Love, I really wonder if that is just to put Aaron Rodgers on his toes. And not to say that's not true. Not to say that none of it's true and Aaron Rodgers is, not, his job's not in trouble or in danger or whatever. Not to say that Jordan Love isn't any good, but I find it interesting, with all this being said,
it is
that people are like, hey, man, struck gold 3 times. I don't know.
Yeah.
The
Jordan Love, complication. I like his his answer the other day, they asked about it. He said, look, I'm ready day one. I was drafted by this team to play quarterback. I am ready to play game one. We've heard that the GM and them say he isn't ready, but they say after watching him in practice and OTAs that he looks ready to play. We won't know until we see it on the field, and that's my mindset about it. Now, is Jordan Love going out there and killing in OTAs? Maybe. That's what the beat reporters are putting out there. Is this just a knock on Aaron Rodgers, or is this a Green Bay trying to sell their future quarterback to the fan base? Mark Murphy already came out last week and said this whole Aaron Rodgers dilemma has separated our fan base and divided them. And this is true, but you should be saying that type of stuff when you run the organization. It's just not smart, you idiot. But if you go, I'm on Packer fan pages and we talk Green Bay, whatever, but it has divided. I see a bunch of people out there saying that Aaron Rodgers put the team on his back. He deserves whatever, give it to him. And all you others are fools. And I see that he signed a contract. You should live up to your contract, and let's get rid of him. I don't even want him if he comes back. All that kind of crap. So I've seen a lot of division, and it's the truth. But saying that out loud when you're saying that to the media when you're in the middle of a dispute is dumb. And Mark Murphy needs to stick a cork in his mouth and shut it up, because I honestly believe Aaron Rodgers has a lot of issue with him. Personally,
where are the PR people for these teams is my question, especially for the owners. Jerry Jones comes out there and randomly goes on radio show hosts talking about whatever, and I'm like, if I was the NFL, right, I would be like, okay, look, owners, you're gonna have a PR team so that before you go mouthing off, right, you're gonna explain to them what you're gonna go say, and then they will come back to you and go, bad idea.
Well, they like it. I mean, I think the NFL like it. Brings more drama. It brings more attention to it.
Yeah,
especially with Jerry Jones. He is obligated to do that too. He signed a contract to go on the radio and all that stuff. So, but I mean,
like have some kind of filter. A little bit,
right?
Just a little bit. Right. You don't want to damage your team because you said the wrong thing. I mean, Jerry Jones almost did that with the whole, kneeling thing and whatever, and completely almost just kind of like, completely showed his team a different thing, and then he did the opposite. So it was just kind of, I don't know. It's like you got to have some kind of filter. Something. I mean, can't just say whatever.
Yeah, man. I'm just like, man, Mark Murphy, just shut up.
It's an ongoing thing.
Please.
We are not done talking about the Aaron Rodgers saga and the Green Bay drama. It is ongoing. So we'll continue on. This story is continuing as this off season's going on.
Unfortunately,
but
and it's also
go ahead.
It's also. You don't hear anything of Deshaun Watson's story that took over and blew up this offseason much of anymore. But
from one sticky situation in Green Bay, we're gonna slide over to another sticky situation going on in the Major League Baseball world. Brian, what's going on?
All right, Jeff. So MLB is now cutting down on substances, speaking of sticky, that pitchers can use and not use to control their pitches. Now, the pitchers would find ways to, use pine tar or whatever they can to control the baseball, have a better grip. It means you get a better spin rate. What is it called, Jeff? Spin rate. There you go. I was thinking of ratio. Spin rate on the ball. You can control your pitches better, yada, yada, yada. And my first thought is when I come up, is this so hitters can put the ball and play more, right? They're looking for ways to make baseball more interesting, more attractive to the younger fan base, and that they're depending runners on second and overtime or extra innings, so they don't, you're not sitting there and have a 6-hour baseball game. I think it's gotten to a point where they're trying to kind of backtrack now because all the balls they've they've been rumored to be juiced and there's more home runs. So now it's home run or strikeout, and you don't see the balls in play. You don't see those defensive plays. So now they're cutting back on the pitching, where what they can and cannot use. I think this is a way to have batters put the ball and play more, and give the advantage maybe back to them instead of the pitchers.
We had a conversation about this, and I don't know if anybody remembers it or not, but we had a conversation about this when was it? It was many episodes ago. I think I mentioned it kind of.
Yeah, you did.
When we were talking about, I think we were talking about Houston.
You were talking about, the sign stealing, and then led into just cheating.
And then there was a topic brought up about allowing pitchers to use certain substances during the games and things like that. So it's interesting how we've come kind of full circle a little bit talking about it again. But it's kind of, man. It's a weird thing. This has been going on for a very, very, very long time. We're talking all the way back to like Whitey Ford, talking about back to the old school baseball days, where pitchers would use substances to gain some kind of an edge. Hang on one second. My cat's going to freak out. Hold on. I got to open the door for him.
Yeah, Jeff, you're completely right. I'll fill the time in here. It has been going on for a long time. You've seen pine tar, and you put pine tar on your bat only to a certain length before it's illegal. And they pitchers use that pine tar, or they use a rosin bag. And you've seen different things that they've used to help control.
All right, I'm back. I had to open the door or the cat was going to meow, meow, meow.
Freak out.
Yeah.
Definitely edit that part out. I talked a little bit, but nothing too special.
Going live, Brian. Okay.
Gosh.
So going back to what I was talking about, I mentioned episodes ago that, why not just go ahead and allow them to have some kind of substance on there. That way they do have a little bit more control over the ball. Now, what I did take into consideration was spin rate. And that can unfortunately change the game a little bit. Maybe, and I was listening to podcasts. I'm gonna name drop them right now. Bronx Pinstripes. So if there's any Yankee fans out there, listen to them. They're awesome. They break down things. They're not biased. They'll call the team out if they're doing bad, that kind of stuff. So on that podcast, this last week when all this news broke, in particular, Garrett Cole was asked a few questions regarding what was it called? Spider tack or spider something. It was a sticky substance. And the lady that was on the podcast talking about it, she's the one who broke the story for Sports Illustrated. And she was talking about how sometimes the sticky substance was so sticky it would like pick up grass. You could hear it come out of the hand. And I'm like, how are you even pitching like that? Like, I could not imagine trying to throw a ball when it's like sticking to your hands. And then you have like the umpire sometimes touches those too, and so do the other players. And wouldn't they start to kind of go, what's wrong with this ball? Just seems kind of odd to me. But anyway, Garrett Cole kind of stirred up some stuff because they asked him in particular, has he ever used spider tack, or I think it was called spider tack is what and he danced around it a little bit. He was like, I don't know really how to answer that kind of question, or I don't know how to answer that. I personally think Garrett Cole was using that at some point in his career. I don't think he's using it particularly now with New York, since the whole Houston thing. The Yankees they're the last organization that wants any negative light on them. So I don't think he's particularly using it now, but I do think at one point Garrett Cole used it, whether it was his time in Pittsburgh, or whether it was his time in Houston. I'm not quite sure when, but I know at some point he did more than likely use that. So it is something that is be going around. The lady at Sports Illustrated said that from what she's heard, 90% of the pitchers in baseball are using it.
Right, and they take the most named one, and
right, of course,
they want to put them out. And there was a lot of speculation because after that interview and after they kind of banned these substances, the very next game, Garrett Cole went out and he gave up 5 runs. It was a bad outing for him. So they're like, "Oh, is this Garrett Cole without the sticky tack?" And
no. It was the game before they asked. I think it was the game. I think it was the game before they asked, because when they asked him about it, he pitched the following day after they asked him about it was when he was going up against Minnesota. I think it was Minnesota. And the guy in particular, one of the batters, was the one that called Garrett Cole out on it. So that was what brought the question up about Garrett Cole possibly using spider tack. And what's hilarious is that in that game, after the day after they had asked him that question, he kind of danced around it. He completely shut down the Twins, and not only that, he struck that guy out 3 times. So it's just kind of
the guy was
So it's kind of interesting, but I mean, I think the thing about it is, this is going to be a thing that they're going to change, according to this lady from Sports Illustrated. This is going to be something they're going to change mid-season, which is crazy. You're going to see, you might even see offenses go insane because of this. Like we may see some high powered offenses going on towards the middle to the end of the season. But who knows? I mean, I still think Garrett Cole's a great pitcher. So I don't really think that he's just been completely using this every game all the time, because at some point, eventually someone's going to figure it out. You're a big name, it's a story. You know what I mean? So I think maybe he had used it before, and he, as opposed to saying, yes, I have used it before, because it would throw the light of, are you using it now kind of question, and then delegitimize him as a talent. But yeah, I think ultimately that's one of the reasons probably why he danced around that question. But this is something that's plaguing Major League Baseball. Again, not news that Major League Baseball wants to deal with, but if they're going to deal with it now, and then maybe, who knows, maybe the offense kind of goes back to what it was back in the 2000s. We'll see.
And not too far, speaking of cheating, there's apparently, and I don't know the book's name. I've heard this the other day, that there's a book that's coming out that proves that the Astros cheated past 2018. So I'm kind of interested to see what it comes out, what it's called.
I mean, the thing is that it's going to be interesting to see how this changes the game. And I think it'll be exciting to see the change and difference and how things go from here on, from this point on into the end of the season and even into the playoffs, and see how that plays out and everything. But now that we've talked about this situation, and this is going to be an ongoing situation, so we'll probably end up talking about this thing at some point, evaluating how the offense may have taken off in baseball and stuff. But there's somebody who played baseball, Brian, but they also played basketball. And that person's Michael Jordan. Okay. But Michael Jordan's main guy, he's a little upset. Why is he upset, Brian? What is going on with Scottie Pippen?
Scottie Pippen is super upset because he's labeled as Michael Jordan's sidekick. Does this guy, Jeff, does he not have a mirror in his house? Does he not have a mirror in his house? What is wrong with being a sidekick? I don't get it. You won your championships. He's actually coming out with a book now, I believe. And he's so mad, and then they, even after the big documentary came out, the 6-part series documentary came out on Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen was upset how it made him look. I don't know how. I don't know how you're so upset. I don't see why you're so mad. And he was injured. He did have some injuries throughout his career. I guess he thought it made him look weak with not playing it with a migraine. in the championship and stuff like that. But you're Scottie freaking Pippen. You were one of the best players to play the game back in the day. You were Robin to Batman. It's not that hard to look and go, man, Michael Jordan was better than me, but look, I was right there behind him. I don't understand why he's so frustrated and why he's so angry to be labeled the sidekick to the best basketball player of all time.
Well, if Scottie Pippen doesn't want to be Michael Jordan's sidekick, I'll be his sidekick. Who wouldn't want to? But I mean, here's the thing. Without Scottie Pippen, who knows how good the Bulls would have been? I mean, you got to have a 1-2 punch, 1-2-3 punch, that kind of thing, and they did. Scottie Pippen was a beast. Michael Jordan was a beast. They had to work in tandem to win the championships they did. And I know that Scottie Pippen gets frustrated because they didn't win the one when Jordan was out playing baseball. I get that. But they worked well together. That's the only reason they were able to win. And again, as great as Michael Jordan was, maybe, just maybe, without Scottie Pippen, he wouldn't have won as many as he did.
Exactly. And it's exactly right. And I just don't get it. If Michael Jordan's labeled the best basketball player ever, Jeff, at your job, if they came to you and said, man, this other person is the best to ever do it, and you're number 2, would you be that upset? I don't get it. Scottie Pippen carried this team, his leadership and everything else too as well. And like you said, if he wasn't there, maybe they don't win a lot. They don't win as many as they did. Even when Michael Jordan did go to the, go to play baseball, then maybe they don't win without him. They were still a good team without Michael Jordan. Yeah. So
I think they were in the playoffs, but they just didn't get to the final, or maybe they were in the something like that. They were almost they almost got to the finals and they lost. But I'm like, y'all have to be working together. I mean, y'all are not the Bulls were not the same team without Jordan, obviously, and the Bulls wouldn't have been the same team without Scottie.
Exactly. And but I just don't see why he's so upset. So
yeah,
I guess we'll have to read his book when it comes out.
It's unfortunate. I did not actually. So I watched the documentary, especially with me and my wife. We watched the documentary, and I never came off like, oh, Scottie Pippen looks soft. What's going on? Like, why does he look so weak? I just looked at it as like, hey man, the dude's a beast. He's coming back, battling back from an injury. And he's gonna be just as much of a beast as he was before he got hurt. I thought that it was unfortunate the way they were handling his contracts negotiation. I thought that was messed up, and I think that was completely disrespectful to him. But I think that Scottie Pippen put in the time and effort, man, to get paid. So as much as Jordan was the number one guy, I mean, Scottie Pippen was there along the ride. So it's just kind of like what,
right.
Kind of like with the Lakers, they paid LeBron James, KD came in, they won a championship, pay KD. You got to take care of your players, and the Bulls were so good, man. So good. Like you come on, man, don't piddly around like that with Scottie Pippen and give him what he deserves. Because by the time that was over, I mean, it was Scottie Pippen it wasn't too long after that when he, finished it up and hung it up right around the same time Jordan did. So it was just like, come on, man. Like the guy is a legend.
Yeah.
So,
and he, watching this, I didn't grow up in the Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen era of basketball. I missed it. And that sucks. But so I didn't know a lot of the stories. And I'm watching a documentary, actually, I went and because I knew Scottie Pippen was good, but I just didn't know how good he was. And I actually looked up Scottie Pippen's numbers, and I was like, man, this guy's way better than a lot of people gave him credit for. Mm-hmm. And I understand, living in the shadow of Michael Jordan. but it actually made me appreciate Scottie Pippen even more watching this thing. So I just don't understand his frustration.
I think some of it also is marketing, media hype. The Bulls were really good really before, I think. I mean, obviously basketball was popular because of Michael Jordan. Yeah. Are you there?
No, you're good.
Oh,
You're good. Go ahead.
Video's gone. Yeah, like obviously, like, you know, in terms of the way the Bulls were, it was kind of like I looked at it and I was just kind of like, I don't really understand. Like, for example, take a look at the Lakers. Everybody knows who Kobe was. Everybody knows who Shaq was. And they were like, both of them were bigger than the game itself. And so I think the problem was if the Bulls were just as good back then, like how Kobe and Shaq were, or at the same time, I think Scottie Pippen would have been just as big of a name as Michael Jordan.
Right.
Because
I could definitely see that. The platform has gotten a lot bigger with social media and everything else that these stars now are seen, even when they don't want to be seen, you know? So
yeah,
you made a very good.
That's kind of what I saw it as, is like, because I mean, when I started paying attention to everything, and even though I didn't really pay attention, I was still so young to really be paying attention to basketball too much. When I was that little, I knew who Michael Jordan was. Obviously, everybody did. But when I really started paying attention, it was Kobe and Shaq, and they were a household name, both of them.
Yeah.
So
it's
definitely media. It's definitely media hype. It's definitely marketing as well. I think the Lakers were marketed more because of because of how easy it was to access media at the time. Compared to the Bulls, where it was like, I think that you just happened to try to catch the games, you know, and you're like, okay. And then if they were in the playoffs, then you probably caught the games, but if they weren't, you didn't watch them, you know.
And there's no DVR back in the day.
No.
If you're not watching the game, you're not at the game. You're reading it in the newspaper.
Yeah,
but
or NBA courtside or whatever the service is that you can watch out of market games and stuff like that.
Sorry, I was holding back a sneeze, so try not to get it on the mic there. But
I want to bring up. I know this is off of the topic. Not off topic, but off of the. It's not on our list to talk about.
Right. Gotcha. Go ahead.
Deshaun Watson. I'd like to talk about Deshaun Watson for a second. Have you heard what's going on?
Well,
have you seen anything that's going on?
Well, yeah. Recently, Deshaun Watson's come out and said he wants to be a Denver Bronco.
Okay. So Kareem Jackson, who's currently a Denver Bronco, has been talking to Deshaun Watson. I think they're personal friends, or they communicate regularly. And according to Broncos Wire and ESPN as well, it's like, you know, Deshaun Watson seems to say, I need you, you know, like, I want to be there. You know, it's like, it's kind of, I don't know. It's kind of interesting because Kareem Jackson is like, I don't know if he's tampering. Would this be considered tampering, Brian? Or is this okay to do?
I don't know. I don't know the tampering laws in the NFL and the NBA. If you even think about another player that's on a different team, it's tampering. So I don't think they're as strict in the NFL, but I think it is frowned upon, and it probably will end up with a fine if he, you know, I don't know what he said exactly, but it could end up in a fine. But that's
so according to NFL Network's Ian Rappaport, isn't completely buying the Kareem Jackson story. So Kareem Jackson went on Aqib Talib's podcast and basically said that according to him, Deshaun Watson told him that Denver is where he wants to be. And that's a quote. Now, Ian Rappaport said, I checked with some of his sources. This is a quote from him. And he's in that they're saying it's not true.
Denver Broncos have been linked to different quarterbacks this year, even Aaron Rodgers and the trade before the draft. And with this, Denver Broncos, to me, they're a quarterback away. I told you if Aaron Rodgers got traded there, y'all would be in the Super Bowl. And I truly, honestly believe that. But you're also a team that doesn't put up with a lot of BS. You don't put up with a lot of bullcrap from players. And would I want to see Deshaun Watson play for Denver Broncos? Heck yes, he's a great quarterback. Do I think they're going to touch him because of the unknown year-long suspension? Probably he's looking at the unknown settled cases with the 30-odd some odd women. I don't think Denver Broncos would touch him with a 10-foot pole. I would like to see it, but I don't think it happens. And this story's kind of gone down. Aaron Rodgers did his whole thing, so the Deshaun Watson story's kind of gotten put on the back burner. We haven't heard much about the cases, if any more women stepped out or anything like that. And we haven't heard the punishment of the NFL yet. So it's kind of put on hold of what they're going to do with Deshaun Watson, what his penalty is going to be and his punishment. He will not play another down for the Houston Texans. They have 5 quarterbacks on the roster, I believe. They have gone out and just signed different quarterbacks to fill their spots. So Deshaun Watson is done in Houston. Where does he go from here? I'm not sure. I would like to see him in Denver, but do you think that's a realistic possibility?
Well, I'm gonna give a quick shout out to John Heath, who wrote this story on Broncos Wire. I think he writes for it's a sub website for the Denver Broncos, USA Today. But I mean, you and him are basically saying very similar things. You are both of you. He's saying, regardless of how interested Watson may be or may not be in the Denver Broncos, it'll be a moot point if there's not a mutual interest. Denver seems highly unlikely to pursue a potential trade for Watson until his legal matter has been resolved. I agree there. And so obviously do you when it comes to how the Denver Broncos typically are not privy to dealing with off the field nonsense. So I think hopefully this stuff clears up. I don't know what's going on. I've not seen any update on the civil cases here or the civil suits that's going on by these 22 women. But I mean, I find it interesting. This is a big, crazy story, and I don't know if it's going to end anytime soon, but I will tell you this much. If it does not end soon, I mean, Denver, and if any of it comes out as to be true, he's not coming to Denver.
If any of it comes to be true, he might not ever play in the NFL again. And the reason I say that, Jeff, is because you look at, I think the whole Ray Rice issue has put a stamp on what the NFL is allowed to get away with anymore. Ray Rice, after doing what he did, and how the NFL handled it, and then how bad it looked when we knew they had the videotape of what Ray Rice did to his wife. He didn't play again. No one touched him. So I do think if this is true, I do think that he won't. He might, that might be just being way wrong, because look, if you're a talented player like Deshaun Watson is, someone probably will take you, and that's how the NFL is. I'm not sure. I would like if this is true. Depending on what went down, because he didn't rape anybody, right? That this is just some awkward. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, and
I want the truth to come out. I want us to find out what really happened, and then we can make a complete judgment on what he did and what he did not do.
Right. I mean, I don't know. We won't know. honestly, I don't think they're going to disclose anything whatsoever because this is, again, ongoing investigation, obviously. There's lots of legal stuff going on. I don't think they can disclose a lot until the trials start. Then you'll start hearing the stories. Then you'll start hearing the details. Yeah. Then you'll start all these things. And I mean, this is not only this bad, obviously, for the people involved, this is bad for the NFL. This is bad.
Oh yeah.
And they want it to go away.
Here's what Deshaun Watson should have done already, and what he should do is he should settle. He should pull out his checkbook. I don't care.
Yeah, it just comes across as like, I'm guilty, and that's the only problem with settling like that. It comes across as, Let
me finish here. I get that. And I get that even people that are found not guilty, once you make up an assumption, you people still are going to think that he, molest women or whatever. Okay. So regardless, I know he's trying to save his image and all that stuff. Regardless, I would have paid the money and because once this settles, then the NFL will come out and punish him. I would take this punishment early, get it out of the way, and move on. Go somewhere else and rebuild that image. Settling does make you look guilty, but that's between you, those women, and God of what really happened. And some people already have their minds made up, whether they like you or don't like you, and whether they think you're guilty or not guilty. I thought he should have settled, but he's sticking to his guns, and this is going to drag out.
I will tell you this much. For him to be sticking with his guns, it's got to mean something.
Yeah, he
better be completely exhausted. I mean, like, hey, I know I didn't do any of this. And not only do I know it, right, I can prove that I didn't do any of this by the lack of evidence on the other side, by the lack of anything whatsoever. Out of 22 people, if a judge comes out and says there is absolutely 100% zero proof that anything happened at all out of 22 different people, it comes across as a little weird. And it comes across as like, well, obviously, for him not to settle and say, I'm fighting this because I don't deserve, this isn't right. Like it's got to mean something. If I'm telling you right now, if he believes that strong, cold-heartedly and actually go to court and fight this through, he must believe that it's all BS.
Now, you can look at it in two different ways, right? You can look at it, one is saying, hey, there's 22 women here. These all can't be made up, right?
True.
That's a lot.
True.
Or you can look at it as, man, he is really fighting for his image. He's really fighting for himself. And 22 seems like a crazy amount of a crazy number. And you can look at it going that, I think he's innocent and they're just trying to use numbers to make him look guilty type thing. Only time will tell what happens. I don't know if he did it. I don't even want to put I just think it's going to be a year suspension. When does that start? I don't know. But it's a sticky situation. And we've talked about a lot of sticky situations on this episode. But we should name the episode Sticky Situations.
We're going to call this one Sticky Situations, yes.
That's what it goes to. But I think that would still be the main story if the whole Aaron Rodgers drama didn't step out. But it's kind of been on the back burner, and we're still waiting to see where that goes. So
yeah, I'd love to know. I'd love to know more. So we're definitely going to be following this story to the end, honestly, until we know all the details and can actually come up with a good summarization as to Deshaun Watson is the ultimate, POS, or Deshaun Watson, this is wrong, right? So I mean, it's this is wrong to do to him.
We're obviously hoping it's wrong. And when you talk about where he goes next, and with the Denver Broncos, could he end up in Denver after the suspension?
Very possible.
and very possible. Do I see it anytime soon? I don't know. Maybe it could be next year. You never know.
Right.
But it depends on when he gets it settled and when he gets that suspension. But right now he's still on the payroll of Houston. He's still under contract, and right now he's either got to show up for camp or forfeit money. And he might just end up forfeiting money. I don't see him walking back in those doors.
And I wonder
if he don't show up, he'll be forfeiting money too. But
I think Aaron Rodgers wouldn't care personally, but I think that when it comes to Deshaun Watson, how would that work? I mean, the guy's under litigation process, so.
Well, he hasn't been suspended by the league. He hasn't been punished by the league, so he's obligated to show up like anybody else would. And I've looked into this. I've with Aaron Rodgers, and they're saying, oh, it's mandatory OTAs. Well, Aaron Rodgers technically doesn't have to show up, I think, until next week, because the amount of money we can fine him for missing these mandatory OTAs that he's missing is $93,000. But the team can still excuse his absence and not charge him. Coming up in a couple weeks here, there is no excused absence. If you miss it, it's $50,000 for every unexcused absence. If Aaron Rodgers does not come back and he does not play this year, it's a void year, so he's still under contract for 3 years, and he'll have to give back a $30 million signing bonus. So Aaron Rodgers pretty much more than likely is either going to retire or play for the Green Bay Packers.
Now, if he retired, would he have to be out for a period of time? Year?
If he retires, if he retires and comes back in 2 years, he's still under contract for Green Bay. He can't retire and be a free agent when he wants to come back. That is sort of why you saw Barry Sanders retire and he didn't come back, because he would still be under contract with the Detroit Lions. And I looked that up too, going, man, I wonder if he retires, can he just come back and be a free agent? No. So if he retires this year and comes back he has to honor the 3-year contract. So that's why I'm saying Green Bay has all the leverage when it comes to Aaron Rodgers.
So, yeah, that's going to be interesting. I wonder how that's all going to play out, because it's going to be wild, man. I have a feeling that if they don't change anything, it's going to be a crazy thing, and it's going to get nasty.
Oh yeah. I don't know, man. It's an ongoing story.
Yeah.
It's the main story. My buddy told me, you need to talk more Cowboys, bro. I'm like, hey, Aaron Rodgers and the Packers are in.
We don't talk about trash on here.
Oh,
no,
gosh.
I'm kidding.
Aaron Rodgers said the Green Bay Packers are that number one story right now. So It is what it is. And it's not a good story. It's not like I want to be on here talking about my quarterback not showing up for camp, but that's just where it is.
We'll talk about a Dallas team, okay, guys? We'll talk about the signing bonus that Luka Doncic, okay, the signing, the contract, his rookie contract of $200 and something million. We'll talk about that a little bit. And talk about the Cowboys. Gosh, who'd think this is?
Well, there will be probably plenty of Cowboy talk on this podcast in the season.
Yes. Well, we'll definitely be talking about game 1 and week 1 in Cowboy world, opening night. We'll definitely be talking about
testing out Dak Prescott's ankle against the number one defense in the league right off the bat. So
exactly.
But Jeff, it is about that time where I ask you, what is in your locker?
Well, the only thing in my locker is myself. I got stuffed into the locker. No, I'm kidding. But no, what's in my locker, man? I've been playing a lot of games. Like I think I said that last time. But really I've been kind of focusing on, like free agency for the off season for basketball, because my Dallas Mavericks are knocked out. So I'm very curious to see what they do this offseason to help out Luka Doncic. Very big off season for the Mavericks. Make or break. And so not really necessarily, but make or break in terms of, are you serious about this, or are we just going to ride on Luka's coattails until he's, a little bitty wooden nub like Dirk, and we don't do anything for forever. So it's just kind of like, I think that was one of the things I was paying attention to. And then obviously this week is big E3 week. A lot of video game news, a lot of video game topics, a lot of video game stuff. It's always exciting. E3 is always kind of a fun time, because it's kind of like having Christmas, but having Christmas in the summer. So you get to see all the stuff that they're announcing and stuff. We watched, I think I watched a little bit of the Ubisoft press conference today. And then Jeff Keighley had opening night live, which was it's not E3, but it was I think it's Summer's Game Fest. So he had a lot of cool stuff on there that they announced. And I think I saw some Far Cry stuff today, which looked sick. And so, yeah, we're going to watch some of the conferences tomorrow. I think Microsoft's conference is tomorrow. But I mean, of course I'll watch it. I'll watch it because I like to just laugh sometimes. So I gotta see that Halo. I gotta see how good Halo has gotten since they last showed it, which looked horrible, and it was like last December. So yeah, well,
Hold on, Jeff. Where'd it go? All right, keep going.
Okay.
Sorry. Oh, never mind. Hold on. You're going to be doing a lot of this.
A lot of laughing. Yeah, it's so I'm gonna watch that, and then my wife is a real big RPG fan, so she's gonna be watching a lot of the Square conferences is right after the Microsoft one, so she's definitely gonna watch that. And then there's a company called Namco, or Bandai Namco, which does a lot of RPGs that she likes a lot, and so she'll watch that on Monday. But yeah, I'm just waiting to see what Sony does. They've announced not anything really in terms of what they're going to do. They are not a part of E3. They dropped out of E3 last year, so they didn't really have a conference. They had their own thing. And obviously E3 didn't happen last year because of COVID. But yeah, it seems like Sony is doing their own thing. They are going to have their press conference at some point, and I'm assuming it's going to be in the next couple of maybe 2 or 3 weeks, based on a tease that happened during the very beginning of E3. So yeah, man, I'm excited to see what Sony's going to do. There's a lot of shots fired going on between Microsoft and Sony right now. Microsoft's sitting there taking shots at Sony, and Sony's responding, but they're responding in a very good way, man. They showed off Ratchet and Clank. Sick, absolutely sick game.
It looks insane.
It was, the amount of detail in that game is absolutely ridiculous, dude. I mean, it's just incredible. And for that to be, within the first year of the console being out it's just absolutely insane. So, getting some of that. Hopefully we get some Last of Us multiplayer news. I swear. I gotta know something. We gotta know something.
Give us something. Give us a nibble.
They are doing a standalone multiplayer. They're doing it's going to even be the same fidelity as the Last of Us Part 2. So it's going to graphically, it's going to be insane. I'm very excited. It's a very big ambitious project. So there's been some Sony news. I think they announced some partnership with some a developer that worked on Call of Duty. And they kind of made their own studio, and so they're supposed to be working on some first person something. So and that'll be exclusive. So, but yeah, and other than that, man, I just been paying attention to that stuff. Hanging out when me and my wife been watching some stuff on TV, but really just chilling out, working, coming home, chilling out, man.
Nice.
What's in your locker?
So my locker this last week and stuff, it's been a little crazy. My wife ended up getting in a little fender bender over last weekend, and our van was undrivable. It cracked the radiator, and we had to get that fixed, and there were some other things wrong with it. So that's in the shop. Hopefully, I was hoping to get it back Friday or today, but it doesn't look like we will. So we're down to one vehicle. That's been a little pain in the butt, but we'll get back hopefully Monday, and we'll have 2 vehicles again and get all that fixed up. And then I got to get my brakes fixed in this vehicle because it's grinding a little bit, and so I'm like, more money to spend on a car, which it's always a pain in the butt. And then we met my daughter's 8th birthday party this last weekend. She just turned 8, and so that was great for her. And she's getting older and older, man. It's crazy to believe that she's already 8. Let's see. We got the 85-inch TV hung on the wall, so that was nice. And we got a couple more pieces to add to the house. We're still waiting on our couch. I think once we get our couch, it'll almost be complete. We got to get all the stuff for the bedroom set and stuff like that. But I cleaned out the garage today. Our garage was literally just a one walking path from the garage door to the inside. So I pulled it all out. And we rearranged, and so it's been fun. We've just been putting the house together. I had to find a yard guy to come out. He's going to come out tomorrow and pay him to do the lawn. And that's pretty much about it. The community we live in is pretty cool, pretty quiet. They've started up doing basketball tournaments for dads basketball tournaments, they call it. And actually tonight they're having a movie in the park. So it looks like this neighborhood kind of likes to get out and get together with everybody. And so I'm looking forward to meeting the new people around here. We have a neighbor to the left of me who's a really cool guy, and we're the first one on the street. So we got some houses going up, and we're kind of interested to see who's moving in and get to know all these people out here. But we've enjoyed the house so far and continue to look forward to making memories in it, man.
Just don't be the guy that yells at the kids to get off the lawn, Brian. Get off hard.
Hey, it is Bermuda, all right? It is fantastic Bermuda
Let the kids have fun on the yard, Brian. Come on.
So we have our back gate is a wrought iron fence because no one will ever be behind us, which I kind of like. And it's a little bit of field, and we got train tracks right there. And the trains are very quiet. And people are like, "Oh, isn't that noisy?" They're actually pretty quiet. There's a no honk zone, so they don't honk their horns. The kids love it. But on the other side of us, we got a bunch of trees, and people have been taking pictures of deer that are out there. And the sun sets directly in my backyard. And at first, I was like, "Man, I'm not sure if I like that because it's gonna put a glare on the TV," which actually it doesn't. The glare on the TV is very minimal, and we get some beautiful, beautiful sunsets here that we could just look at. And so yeah, man, we're just really enjoying the house. I got to get the cars fixed.
Be on the lookout for spiders, Brian. You remember the spiders whenever we had when we were living in Fort Worth.
Yeah, we've seen some
Us
bugs.
growing up. We saw some crazy spiders where we lived.
They were bad over there, man. Especially that one that was above your door.
Yes, the Amazonian spider that was just kind of like out of this world, not even supposed to be in the state of Texas. So
it was like a bird-eating spider or something. I was like
multicolored.
It was orange and white.
Yeah, my wife still doesn't believe me to this day. She's like, "That's BS." I'm like, "Dude, I'm telling you, it was insane."
Yes, I could. Yes, it was there and it happened. We had wolf spiders all over the place.
Yeah, I remember those.
I haven't seen too many around here. I don't think I've seen one spider in a house.
That's crazy. We had a bunch of them. I don't know what was going on over there. It was a madhouse, man.
Yeah, well, yeah. Some bad juju over there in that area. But
yeah.
All right, guys. I think that's all we got for this episode. I want to thank you guys for taking time to listen to Watson's Playbook. Share it, like it, send it around if you like. We are on all the platforms: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Jeff runs Instagram. Jeff runs our Twitch account as well. We are on Apple. We are on Google Music. Well, sorry, Google Music doesn't exist
Google
anymore.
Podcasts.
Sorry, Google Podcasts, YouTube. We're everywhere. So just look us up and continue to listen. We will probably, Spotlight of the Week will probably continue to be the NBA playoffs coming up because that's the main thing this next week.
Yeah, and just to also, just leave some kind of reaction on Apple Podcasts. I know we don't mention them a whole lot. I have an Apple computer, but we don't use Apple, products in terms of phones and stuff. But I can go on there and see the reviews and stuff like that because I can click on it on my computer and find those. So if you are using an iPhone or anything like that, just go ahead and write a review on Apple Podcasts or an Apple podcast. I forgot what it's called. I think it's called Apple. Yeah, it's just called Apple Podcasts. And then that way we can, because that allows the algorithm to kind of push our podcast up a list. So, and we have been getting a lot of traction, quite a bit of downloads. I want to say like last week we had 60 some odd downloads, which is kind of insane. It's growing. I've seen people in more states listening that weren't listening before. So this is gaining steam little by little. And we're starting to see some extra people tuning in and downloading the podcast. So this is exciting. But yeah, keep on. And I was on Twitch earlier today. I think I streamed Resident Evil 2 remake. And then I also streamed some Star Wars Fallen Order because they released a PS5 patch. So yeah, I'll probably go and play that here in a second and stream it.
Nice. I don't know. I might go to bed. I might stay up and play some Call of Duty, or I've been playing MLB The Show a lot lately.
I've been playing Cold War a lot. I freaking love Nuketown. Dang it, I can't get enough Nuketown.
Nuketown is good. Now, I'm not a huge fan of the Cold War game. I do like Warzone better, but Nuketown is always a good match. So, but that is it for episode 53. Look forward to next week, episode 54 coming out. And that's it, guys. Thanks, Jeff, for jumping on with me.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for everybody for listening, and everybody take care.
Take care, guys. God bless you.
Bye.